When was the last time that you were really, truly, deeply curious? No, for real. When was it? I want to know. I'm curious about your answers. See, curious. It comes out just like that. Curiosity is this value that I hold so deeply in my practice as a physical therapist. It's also something that applies to my everyday life. I think I'm intensely curious about so many things. I just want to know everything that I can know about anything that I'm interested in, and even the things that I might not be overly interested in, but if somebody's interested in them, excuse me, I'm fascinated by what people are interested in. And so I always want to know more. I'm just curious. And I think that's one of my favorite qualities in medical providers. It's something that I value deeply about how I interact with people and patients, because people are individuals. People are unique. People are different from each other. And yes, there is a whole big body of medical literature and science that backs that up, that is about physiology and anatomy and muscles and bones and tendons and joints and nerves, and all of that is good and important, right? We have to have a foundation, and that has to come from somewhere, and it is important for that to have context that is broad enough to include most of the population, right? It informs the average. If every single medical thing that we encountered was completely different than every other thing for every single person, there really would be no practice of medicine. Everything would just be trial and error all the time, because it would only ever be one person's thing. So the breadth of research and knowledge that we have is really good, and it applies and it matters. But also, people are unique, people are individual. Their behaviors are different, their bodies are different, their bones are shaped differently, they're different lengths, they're proportioned differently, right? And so it matters that as medical providers, as physical therapists, that we're curious about our patients, that we're curious about their lives and their backgrounds and how they got to where they are and where they want to be and what they want their lives to look like and what they want to be able to do. I think it matters for all of your medical providers to be that curious. And we know that not all medical providers have that kind of time based on our current medical system to get to know all of their patients that deeply. But that's what I do in my practice, is I want to know you, and I'm going to get to know you, and I'm going to figure out what your life looks like. I'm going to ask you what your life looks like now and what you want it to look like, because I need to understand you. I need to understand what drives you, what moves you, how you move your body, how the world around you causes you to change how you move your body. I bring this all up because I'm starting this new practice, right, after the last decade being an Army physical therapist. And in the Army, I had a pretty consistent set of patients. People were endurance athletes, they were strength athletes, they were a combination of the two, or they were folks that were just trying to get through the Army's physical readiness testing and training. And the Army's kind of broad testing and training for physical fitness is more strength and endurance focused. And so I know all about that, right? I know about lifting heavy weights. I know about moving far fast and moving far with weight. But I also know that out here in the civilian world, that people are doing very, very different things for fitness. And so this week and really last week, I've started exploring different places in Nashville. And this morning, I was at Longform Fitness at a Legree Pilates studio, which was fantastic, by the way, right? Highly recommend. The people were lovely. The facility was lovely. Had a great time and learned a ton. it's exceptionally challenging, which took me a little bit aback as somebody who has been a long-term, weightlifter, sometime power lifter, endurance athlete, right? As somebody who has done all of these different kinds of things, I was surprised how challenging it was and humbled a little bit. And there'll be another podcast one day about the value of humility. But the instructor asked me what I was doing there, and because it was my first time, and I said, oh, well, I'm starting this practice, and I want to know what my patients might be doing. And I want to know what different fitness studios are doing so that I can tell people where to go for different kinds of physical fitness experiences, different kinds of experiences for their bodies, to be in their bodies. And she said, you're doing your research. And yeah, I mean, I am. And part of that's because it's just the right thing to do, I think, to know what's around and what people are doing. It's also because I'm just curious about people and I want to know every detail of people's movement and bodies and how that affects their life, because that to me is what being a physical therapist is all about. It's about bringing you back to the life that you want, or the life that you're imagining that you can't figure out how to get to because something about your body isn't working the way it's supposed to, or the way you want it to, or in a way that allows you to do the things that you want to do, or in a way that allows you to do the things you want to do as fast or as intensely or as frequently as you want to do them. And so I think that curiosity is so important. And I'm going to continue to embrace that for a whole host of reasons, but not least because I think it matters to my patients that I'm curious about their lives from a holistic standpoint. It's not just about an elbow or a finger or a knee or a shoulder. It's about a whole body and a whole person and a whole life. And so my challenge to you this weekend is be curious. Notice when you're curious about something, and instead of just brushing it off, dive into that curiosity. Learn something new. Go down a rabbit hole and learn everything you can about something, anything. It doesn't really matter what it is, right? It doesn't have to be something grandiose. It can just be, why is the sky blue? Right? Or why this, that, or the other? Why did this thing happen today? What was the effect of this? There are so many questions to ask. One of the questions that I haven't answered for myself, but that popped into my head this moment is, why is some books have paper that I love to touch, right? Like some books, some hard, like real books, not like ebooks, right? Some books have really lovely paper, and some books have paper that that is very unimpressive. Why is that the case? Why don't we make all of the paper wonderful, right? Maybe that's the thing I'm going to learn this weekend. So go learn something this weekend. Go be curious. Have an open mind, and I'll be fascinated to know what you learn. Have a lovely weekend.